So there are three ways to make money in life. There's crime. You can join the mafia, distribute drugs, whatever that may be. That's not worth it. It's not worth it for me, at least. There's chance. You could hope that you get famous and get royalties or win the lottery, something like that. Or there's commerce, which is the most tried and true, most effective way to build wealth. If you look at the Forbes list, everybody's rich on that list because of a business, because of a company that they grew. That's fundamentally, by far, the largest generator of wealth that the world has ever seen. And I want to talk a bit about how wealth is generated through business. I've made videos about how to buy a business, how to run a business, and I'll make more about that. But I want to talk specifically about how wealth is generated with business. So I want to make sure I talk about first a couple key principles. The value of a financial asset, in this particular case, we're talking about businesses, but it could be anything. The value of a financial asset is the present value of the future cash flows of that asset. And what does that mean? Well, if something doesn't generate cash flow, it cannot be valued. It can only be priced. So take a Picasso painting or a gold bar or a Bitcoin. You can't value that, but you could price it. And really, ultimately, that's speculation. If you buy a gold bar or a Bitcoin, you're just hoping that some bigger idiot pays more for it than you did. And so to me, that's like gambling. You're not really investing. But if you buy something that generates cash flow, whether that's a farm or a rental property, or again, I happen to like businesses, if it generates cash flow, you could typically increase that cash flow. You could typically have an effect on that, improve the business, streamline it, cut costs, do whatever you have to do to grow the business. And fundamentally, what you're doing is if you're increasing the cash flow, you're increasing the value of that business. And so I want to talk about that. So, and there's a million ways to value a business, discounted future cash flows, all that. The most common place for small businesses, the easiest way you'll find it, is just simply it's a multiple of the cash flow that it generates. So let's say you have a business that does $1 million a year in profit, net income. After all expenses paid, you make $1 million a year. And say whoever owns that business wants to sell. Well, for a company this size, this is actually a fairly small business, believe it or not. I know $1 million might sound like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually a small company. Say it sells for 3 times its cash flow. So the price is $3 million. And you buy the business, you go to the bank, get a loan, you buy the business. And now you're in the hot seat. And let's say you spend the next year or two growing the business, and you happen to grow that business to $2 million a year in cash flow. Well, same thing, it's worth 3 times that cash flow. Now it's worth $6 million. So you bought the business for $3 million. You doubled the cash flow by working really hard and busting your ass and growing the company, and now it's worth $6 million. And let's say you sell it for 6, you make a $3 million profit. But not just that, actually, you also own the business for a year or two. So you also made a couple million in income throughout that period of time. So you made $8 million. It cost you $3 million to buy, you made a $5 million profit. And that's a really small, simple scale, a simple model of how people build wealth through businesses. Now, this could be done with millions. It could be done with billions. And really, the way you could really take this up a notch is with the concept of a roll-up. If you have the opportunity to buy multiple companies, specifically multiple companies in one sector, that's called a roll-up, where you're taking smaller mom and pop, operations and basically building a larger company out of the sum of smaller companies. And what's crazy is the larger a company gets, the more valuable it becomes. So yeah, sure, $1 million business might sell for 3 times earnings. But if you have a $5 million company or a $20 million company, you're not selling for 3 times. You're selling for a much higher multiple. So say you have an opportunity to buy 5 $1 million businesses, and you pay 3 times earnings for each one of that. You pay basically $15 million for $5 million worth of cash flow. But when you go to sell, you might not sell for 3 times. You might sell for 6 times or more. So you're actually selling for $30 million instead. You make a $15 million profit. So that's what I'm focused on ultimately. Buying companies, growing the cash flow, scaling the business, you're generating value that way. It's tried and true. It doesn't rely on luck, nothing like that. It's a system that's been going on for years. You could take some of my favorite examples, waste management. Waste management, multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company. All it was a roll-up of smaller garbage collection businesses, mom and pops, all that. They bought them all up, grew a big company, and took it public and made tens of billions of dollars. So it could be done to that level. It could be done to this level. If you're a plumber and you have an opportunity to buy, a $1 million plumbing business, and you buy that company and you bust your ass for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and you grow the company's sales, you double it, you triple it, and then you sell, you have an opportunity to make some serious cash. And it's really not that out of reach. I'd say the average person, if they really put their mind to it, could buy a business, could grow it, could take care of themselves and really set their family up for success and really build something for themselves. Then I've made videos about how to buy a business with little to no money out of pocket. I'll continue to make videos about how to find companies, how to finance them, how to buy them, how to run them, how to scale them, how to grow them, and ultimately how to sell them, and how to realize a profit throughout that period.